But when it's intended, the healing relationship is the most powerful we can express in the body politic. If true, I believe it is, no wonder there's an urge to regulate. But it's responsibility, not regulation, that's called for in this relationship. Why? Because regulation is the expression of the addicted. Let me say that again. Regulation is the expression of the addicted. I say this as one who came from the dark side. Regulation destroys, shackles, chokes, imprisons health freedom by virtue of the afflictions to the structures and functions of the body politic that are the orthodox legal and healthcare systems. Would anyone not want more of that? Really? And yet those addictions seek to lift that from our hands, steal it from our hands at every turn. So the equation basically, as I see it, is this. Personal dependence in my body on orthodox law and healthcare, plus regulation of the healing relationships in the body politic equals atrophy. That's the condition of the orthodox legal and healthcare systems, is it not? The opposite is self-reliance in my personal health, plus responsibility, and I would add to that respect in the healing relationships so that they are free, so that they are pure, they are protected. That's the definition of growth. That's the definition for me of health freedom. All right. Lest you think, though, that I'm the only one thinking like this in the legal and political world, here I've pulled off from the White House Commission's report in 2002, the White House Commission on Complementary Alternative Medical Practice. The name couldn't have been worse. Here's something to work on, naive and ambitious though it may be. A White House Commission report on health freedom. 5 years? 3. All right. We'll get next year's assembly, then we go to work on that. All right, here we go. These were in the guidelines. I may not like the name of the report, but I like these guidelines. The federal government, or at least a commission, funded by the federal government, acknowledged these 4 of 10 guidelines as primary to their findings. The healing capacity of the person, respect for individuality, the right to choose treatment, and emphasis on health promotion and self-care. This is a bit of a handhold or foothold on this mountain that I feel we're climbing to overcome those 7 addictions. I have this in every single legal brief I write. You non-lawyers probably don't know what a motion to strike is. A motion to strike is like an objection to a piece of evidence. And maybe you've seen enough TV shows or lawyer movies where you've heard that when your opponent objects, it usually means you've hit a chord. Every single time I put this in a brief, the Attorney General objects. I love it. Some judges grant the motion, some have kept it in. I'm really intrigued to see what the Court of Appeals does on Wednesday, because it's in that brief as well. So, no conversation about addictions is complete unless we talk a little bit about recovery, and I'm in the home stretch. Thank you all for your patience. I really appreciate it. One of the reasons that I like this particular slide is because I'm never certain at any moment when I look at it, whether I'm looking at the light at the end of a tunnel or the bottom of a well whose bottom we have not yet hit. Right. Truth be told, as often as not, it feels to me like it's the bottom that has not yet been hit. There are other times when I'm equally convinced that's not the case. Anyway, I slice it though, the response for me right now is the same. Let me pause with one more story. 4 years ago, in the midst of this dark night of the soul, my feeling, my experience was, I'm in an asylum. I'm in an insane asylum. And I want out. I can't take this anymore. And I consider myself a pretty well-adjusted guy. I have a great marriage. I have 5 incredible kids. I am healthy. And yet, I was finding that I was waking up every morning before work with this vibration in my body. And it was just in that 5 minutes between sleep and being fully awake that I'd experience it. And I noticed it now every morning before work, this vibration. And over time, the vibration would take on, and it did take on, a color and a texture and a form. Day by day, it became clearer. I still wasn't certain what it was. Until one day, the color and the texture and the shape and the vibration had a taste. It had a taste, and it was the taste of gunmetal in my mouth. The vibration was of the barrel of a gun in my mouth. Well, that was a watershed moment, as you can probably imagine. And it was a couple days later that I saw a movie called K-Pax. Very obscure film. Jeff Bridges, you know the movie? Jeff Bridges and Kevin Spacey, thank you, are in the flick. And I'm not going to tell you about the main story. I'm going to tell you about there was a little bit of a kind of a backstory to it. The film is centered around a mental institution. And there's one particular newcomer to the institution. I'll call him John. In fact, I think his name in the film was John Doe because nobody knew his name. And he pretended, or I don't know if he pretended or not. Anyway, represented himself as being from another planet, that he had channeled and entered this body. Okay? So this John Doe is in this mental institution, very wisely and Zen-like imparting wisdom. There's another patient. We'll call him Michael, just for the heck of it, who wants out of the asylum badly. And he seeks out John Doe. And John Doe says, I'm going to give you 3 tasks to get out of the asylum. And he gave the tasks one by one. First task, find the bluebird of happiness. Metaphor, I love film, by the way. Everything's a metaphor to me. Metaphor for that subjectivity we talked about earlier. Find what juices you. Find your meaning. Whatever it is, it's yours. Find it. Task 1. Well, he literally finds the bluebird of happiness right outside the window of the institution. And he is thrilled. He is juiced. He is having his meaningful experience. Task 2. Confront death. The ultimate metaphor for embracing the uncertain, the immeasurable, the uncontrollable. And so he does. again, a threshold for him. Now you can imagine as I'm watching this movie in this state, I'm about to discover, metaphorically,